messaging to connect with your target audience here. How do you define and identify your target audience?
First of all, it's a process of continuous improvement to identify that target audience, and we want to begin with the end in mind. And the end state that you want to have is where your messaging is really storytelling, and your target audience is someone who identifies as a character within that story. And from there, to me, it's kind of like scientific method: observe, measure, test. We start out with that presumption of who we can help, but then through the process of putting out different messaging, testing it, we start to hone in on who really resonates with that message the most. Through the process of messaging, we learn more about what they look like as a person. Yes, we're creatives and there's a lot of art to what we do, but I never like to get away from the science. It has to be data driven at the end of the day if you really want to hone in on who that audience is.
What are some common pitfalls that a lot of businesses make when they're trying to get their message across?
Two really big ones. The first one is everyone is my customer.
Yes.
And the second one is I have no competition. And I've heard those two statements so many times over the years, and I cringe because what that causes your customer to do is get stuck. And if you tell them everyone is my customer, no one wants to be seen as everyone. We have specific problems that we have, and we want to feel like our service providers or products that we buy understand us as individuals, first of all. So we don't want to be stuck in that I'm a everybody. And then as far as the competitive aspect, you have a prospect who really gets stuck. They need competitive information to make a decision. You really need to outline for them that it's okay to look at competitors. Here are the key things you should be looking at as you make a decision. You're giving them mile markers to guide them through a process.
Small businesses tailor their messaging to different channels and
start very broad and then really start to narrow it down.
work your way in.
Work my way in. And that's very similar to that process that I talked about of identifying your target audience in the first place. We're going to start with any business with a very intensive discovery process. But the first thing that we have to come up with is that unique value proposition. And that's usually in the form of, I help blank do blank, and then some statement of the context. So if I can come up with a unique value proposition for a company, what I want to then start doing is finding statements that help reinforce that. I want to work it into very broad content, such as website content, or maybe a product brief if we're talking about a specific product. And then, once you've done that, you start to have pieces of unique boilerplate that you can use in all kinds of different mediums depending on how you want to reach that particular audience. It may go into a pitch deck, it may go into a sales proposal, different product sheets. And again, we keep with the scientific side of the process through the whole way. Sometimes I'm one to A/B test different messages to see which one resonates the most, but I'm always going from value proposition to key messages to developing content for different mediums that reinforce that.
How important is emotional connection when crafting messaging at this moment?
It is hugely important, and it goes back to what I said at the beginning. Good messaging is where your target audience sees themselves as a character in the story that you're telling. Great messaging is when they have already lived that story. If you want to be a part of the story, it's got to have that emotional connection.
What is something that you recommend people don't do?
Know what you're good at, and all of you are great at something. That's why you're business owners. And first of all, don't look at marketing broadly as a do-it-yourself thing. And I get it, when you're small, you're starting out, you're bootstrapping, things are expensive, you don't necessarily want to bring in other service providers. I get that, but there's a point at which you have to let go, and that's really the thing that's detrimental that I see is that business owner who doesn't know when to let go of marketing. Look at it like this. Look at what your time is valued at in your business. How much you can earn when you're doing that thing that you're great at. How much is every minute of staring at a blank page costing? That's when you start to think about, who do I bring in and help me with this?